Hi, I'm Joe Todd. I'm going to show you a new bar graph capability of our Spark Science software. It's a great new feature that can be used with or without a sensor. This video will show you how to make a bar graph without a sensor, and the other video will show you how to make bar graphs with a sensor. Today I'm going to be using SPARKvue HD for tablets, for the iPad, and for certain Android devices, but you need to know that the same software that I'm showing you, it works the same on smartboards, computers, and even in our Spark Science Learning System handheld device. Okay, so I've opened up SPARKvue, and from there, in the lower right-hand corner, I press on the build icon, and that's how I start building the bar graph. In the middle of the screen, you can see that there's a little bar graph icon about 3 down from the right-hand side. I press on that to select my bar graph, and I press OK. And once I'm here, I can start entering data directly into the bars, should I want to, but you know, it's always a good idea to label your variables. So to do that, in my tool palette on the right-hand side, in the lower right-hand corner is a tool called the bar graph properties. So from this, I can change the x-axis and the y-axis variable. When I press on the x-axis variable, I can change it to whatever I want. So let's say that maybe I want to do a survey of genetic traits. Like maybe we're studying Mendelian genetics, and so I just want to do a survey. So I'm going to put in genetic traits. I say OK. And then on the y-axis variable, we're going to have the students survey the class. They're going to find out how many students have those particular traits. So I'm going to scroll down to the user entered number data, and I'm going to create a data set. So in this case, it's going to be the number and then my unit. I'm going to press in the middle little rectangle there, and my unit is just going to be students. So what I envision is, much like you probably have had your students do, they go around and they survey one another and they find out how many students have particular traits. Okay, so now you can see that the variables are labeled with genetic traits on the x-axis and the number of students on the y-axis. Now on the right-hand side where the tool palette is, I've turned on the bar add and edit tool. And so that allows me now to start naming the bars by pressing on them, or I could put values in. So let's put in a trait. Let's say, how about widow's peak? So I replace the bar 1, the default that's set in the software here, with the widow's peak. And then of course I need to do the recessive trait. So you'll see that once I enter the name, the software automatically puts down a new bar for me, inviting me to continue adding new things to study. So under bar 2, I'm going to do the non-widow's peak. All right. Then, of course, we could do more and more. We could do the tongue rollers versus non-tongue rollers, attached ears versus non-attached. But for now, I'm going to turn off the bar add and edit tool. We're just going to work with these 2 traits, but I want to change the values. So I just activated on the right-hand side there the bar edit tool. And so with this tool, I can go ahead and put in my numbers. So for the non-widow's peak, let's say that maybe I only have 7 students who have that recessive trait. And with the widow's peak, perhaps I have 23. And once the numbers are entered, you could see that the bars become colored. That's a great sign to your students that they have put in both the independent and the dependent variables, making sure that their graph is complete. All right, so that gives you a basic understanding of how we put in data when we're not using a sensor. Let me show you a graph that's completed so that I can show you some of the statistic and the annotation ability. So I'm going to open up a graph that I did a little earlier. And what I have here is some data taken from just a little physics class where students were building paper rockets, and they were different sizes and they had different numbers of fins. So we have the data in terms of how far the rockets went. But maybe I've forgotten what the values were. So in the tool palette, I can see the annotation tool. It gives the value of the bars. It's in the right-hand side, second up from the bottom. When I highlight that, you see that the values for in this case, the distances that the rockets flew is revealed above the bars. You also can do some statistics. So to the left of that icon, I press on the statistics tool and I can get a minimum, a maximum, I could do a mean, I could even do a standard deviation should that be important to me. Press OK, and then you see all of these values, the maximum, the minimum, and then of course the mean. So very helpful, very intuitive, very simple. One last feature I wanted to show you, when your students are done with a lab, just the sharing is really easy. I press on that upper icon there, it's called the sharing feature, and there I can export the data, I can email it, I can email lab pages. So in this case, let's say I'm going to email to my teacher and a menu shows up there automatically and it's ready to be mailed. So that gives you an idea of how to use a bar graph without sensors. The other video will show you how to collect data using a sensor and how it can be seen in the bar graph itself. Thank you for taking the time to see this. And if you have any questions about Spark Science and want to learn more about the software, please visit pasco.com. And if you're interested in SPARKvue HD for select tablet devices such as the iPad and many common Android tablets, you can go to the App Store.